What's up, Taiwan? I'm Ethan Liu with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. The government is warning about a new Chinese platform promoting exchanges, education, and internship opportunities for Taiwanese young people in China.
以青年的失业率来讲，还有以工作的这个条件跟环境来讲，台湾都比中国大陆好太多了哦，没有必要打肿脸充胖子，硬是要用这种服务台青的这种做法，其实就是要来遂行他统战的目的，或者是要收集我们年轻朋友的个资哦，把个人的完整的资料，然后来提供给中共来去做利用的话，这些都应该要去谨慎的去评估。
The Mainland Affairs Council, which handles relations with China, says the website is part of Beijing's efforts to influence Taiwanese youth. With local elections approaching, the government says it would be monitoring whether this website and other United Front activity are being used to sway voters. Key government indicators show Taiwan's economy continued to boom throughout June, driven by AI. The government tracks Taiwan's economy on a five-color system, which red means a booming economy. June marked the 7th consecutive month of red-level growth, the second longest streak on record. Taiwan's economy has seen steady growth since the start of 2026, driven by global demand for AI products and continued investment. Analysts say they are cautiously optimistic that the streak will continue despite conflict in the Middle East and U.S. tariffs. Nvidia says it's working with other industry leaders to strengthen cybersecurity following a recent hacking incident involving OpenAI. The new coalition is called the Open Secure AI Alliance, and its aim is to develop and share tools to build trustworthy cybersecurity defense systems. It comes after OpenAI said one of its AI agents had broken loose and hacked open-source platform Hugging Face. Nvidia says the new alliance, which includes Adobe, CrowdStrike, and Dell, will help systems manage AI behavior more effectively, simplifying steps like testing and oversight. Taiwan has proposed stricter monitoring requirements for 3 prescription drugs, including 2 emergency contraceptive pills. The proposal has sparked debate among medical professionals, women's rights groups, and the public. Tinye has the details.
Back in June, Taiwan's Food and Drug Administration proposed adding 3 drugs to the country's pharmaceutical tracking system, 1 abortion medication and 2 emergency contraceptive pills. The announcement also drew attention to a little-known fact. Emergency contraceptives have always required a prescription in Taiwan.
那主要的原因是因为近期有一些网络非法贩售的一些情势发生，因为追踪追溯主要是 要求的对象是药商，药商他必须要把他的药品提供给哪些医疗院所啊，哪些社区药局提供，把他的流向到这个我们的平台去登录，所以我们管理的对象是药商，并没有管理到药局或者是民众个人，所以这一点是要特别说明的。
The FDA says the proposal is about strengthening oversight, not restricting access. But for many pharmacists, it has reignited a much broader debate over emergency contraceptives.
其实这次呢列出的3款药里面，我们可能要把它个别说一下哦。那第一个呢 ，Misoprostol 的话 ，Cytotec， 好，商品名称叫 Cytotec， 它本身确实是在医生用专业判断上，它是用在引产、流产这方面的药物。那但是呢，后2个药物哈 ，Levonorgestrel 或者是 Ulipristal Acetate 这2颗药物 LNG 跟 UPA 本身是属于紧急事后避孕药，所以我们应该把这3个药物拆成2类来看。
Some pharmacists say LNG and UPA shouldn't require a prescription. They note that the World Health Organization considers LNG a safe emergency contraceptive, one that's available over the counter in more than 90 countries.
尤其它的使用上来说，又会跟民众取得的时间有极度高度的相关。这颗药呢，在做紧急事后避孕药的时候，如果在12个小时内吃的话，它的效果可以高达95%。那12到48个小时吃的时候，它的效果就会下降10%左右。那超过48小时，效果又会变得更差。所以其实这颗药的药效极度跟时间在赛跑。
That concern is shared by women's rights groups, who argue that timely access is critical because emergency contraception becomes less effective the longer it's delayed.
那法规上面确实是，因为我们的时候避孕药都是处方用药啦，所以我们也不能够说政府它是现在改了新的办法，因为它就比较像是在落实管理。可是过去多数的女性其实在药局都可以直接购买 LNG 相关成分的药物，那忽然不能购买，其实女性她会有一个很实质的感受，就是我忽然没有管道可以去买到这些药物，或者是我可以买到药物的管道变少了哈。那对于某些偏乡地区的女性来讲，她就医又不是这么方便，那会不会影响到她实质的那个就是健康权益？这是我们蛮关切的地方。
The debate quickly spread beyond medical professionals. A public petition calling for emergency contraceptive pills to be reclassified as pharmacist-supervised drugs reached the required number of signatures in just 4 days. But the idea isn't new. An FDA advisory committee endorsed the same idea back in 2016, though it was never implemented.
就是针对这两种，那我们还是不太赞成改类。其实这两种药物对身体来讲可能造成恶心、呕吐啦、腹痛啦、出血啦，或者月经会变成絮乱不正常，或者你一直这样子就一直重复使用这种药物的话，对它未来的怀孕还是有影响的。
But there appears to be general support for easing restrictions on morning after pills.
觉得如果一定要有医生开处方签的话，可能会有一些就是不是自愿的这些行为会变得是他们很难保护自己。
如果已经有就是它已经有时效性了，然后你还不给它快速的取得的话，那我不知道这件事情有什么作用。
The FDA says it's reviewing the petition and looking at possible support measures before deciding on any changes. For now, emergency contraceptive pills remain prescription only in Taiwan. But the debate over whether they should stay that way is far from over. Patrick Chen, Hank Xu, Klein Wang, and Ting Ye for TaiwanPlus.
The Indonesian island of Sumba is home to an unknown number of modern slaves, a hereditary underclass called Ata. While some of their high caste owners say their Ata are like family, violence and abuse are not uncommon and are rarely reported. Yvonne Yang has this story.
Umbu Ana Rara rides his motorcycle along the road home, with Canisia's Kanyali Hambarita on the back. To anyone who might see them, the pair could be friends, maybe relatives. But one of these men, the driver, owns the other, his passenger, part of an old custom here on the Indonesian island of Sumba. Slavery has been banned in what's now Indonesia for over 160 years. But in corners of the country like this, a traditional form of bondage is quietly tolerated. Society on this island is split in 3 classes. Those who are not nobles or middling sorts are called Ata. This particular master-slave pair says that they live much the same way. They share a house and do everyday things like make coffee together. Owner Umbuana says his Ata is family, but he still has a say over his life, where his child can go to school or work, for instance. For his part, Ata Canisia's Kanyali Hambarita is resigned to his hereditary status as someone else's property.
I don't object to it. That's how it is. It's not the same. It's not a weight on our shoulders. It does not weigh on our heads. It's only the symbol of a tradition inherited from our ancestors.
This seemingly less rigid relationship does exist elsewhere sometimes. In her home, Norlina Rambu Jola Kanlunga introduces her Ata, explaining how she sends them to school. But this kind of treatment is not always the norm, though. Ata can still be forced to work all day without pay. They are still passed on as property in marriage. And, as a local pastor explains, it can and does get much worse.
Slaves who experience violence do not only experience physical violence but also sexual violence, where the master can, in quotation marks, if we may say it, use his maidservant and that is not questioned.
She says the local Protestant synod, a big deal on the island where 4 out of 5 people are Christian, does help in cases of violence against women and children, but they must speak up first. Few do. In fact, no one can even say for sure how many Ata there are on this island of more than 300,000 people. Estimates vary from around 1,700, according to one social worker who asked not to be named, to several thousand. Groups like Human Rights Watch have urged Jakarta, 2,000 kilometers away, to put its ban on slavery into force and enforce anti-discrimination conventions. This is how one human rights official responds.
Indonesia has some ethnic groups that are more advanced, while others are still lagging behind. We have to acknowledge this. The government does not wish to impose change suddenly. Rather, it follows the social development of each community step by step. We are convinced that education will change everything.
And so, an institution of enslavement and abuse goes on, with even those who break away still tied economically to their old masters, and slow justice, with investigations sometimes stretching over years for those few who do speak out. Yuan Duan, John Van Trieste, and Yvonne Yang for TaiwanPlus.
South Korea's Buddhist temples are places of worship and reflection, but one temple is taking on a challenge far beyond the spiritual realm, helping reverse the country's declining birth rate. Yvonne Yang has this story.
For more than 1,000 years, the Naksansa Temple has sat upon these jagged coastal cliffs, watching as the dynasties that ruled the Korean peninsula repulsed foreign invaders. Now, South Korea's faithful are looking to it to fight a different kind of threat, a dropping population. To this end, the temple launched a matchmaking initiative for young singles in 2023. In July, it kicked off a 2-day, 1-night retreat, a sort of extended blind date designed to couple young singles through shared activities.
Our matchmaking program drew tremendous passion and interest, and we saw more than 4,000 applicants. Since only 20 of you here were selected, I hope you join with sincerity and that it will bear fruit.
Dressed in traditional temple uniforms, participants are paired randomly by drawing numbered sticks. They introduce themselves over tea, talent shows, and rotate through one-on-one activities such as blindfolded strolls. The head monk hopes that the retreat will prompt reflection on the country's low birth rate and inspire them to think about the nation's future. One participant found the setting itself made a difference.
Getting to know people in a temple is a completely new and fresh experience for me, and I think it allows you to get to know someone more seriously.
It's a sentiment he shares with other singles.
I think it's a good place where you can communicate with a calm mind and in a respectful way.
Still others seem less dedicated to the cause.
Honestly, they say the birth rate is falling and more people are choosing not to marry. But everyone around me really does get married. Everyone has a partner and they date just fine. Seeing that makes me naturally want to do the same. And since this is organized by the temple, I figure more decent guys who were selected will be coming here.
South Korean women face enormous social pressure to marry, and raising kids is expensive. A raft of state-sponsored programs and incentives seems to be helping. Government data showed South Korea's total fertility rate, the average number of babies a woman is expected to have, rose slightly from 0.75 to 0.8 in 2025 from a year before. It's a small step toward reversing decades of population decline and ensuring places like this temple have a community to serve for generations to come. Andy Xie, Ted Chen, and Yvonne Yang for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, check out these images of humanoid robot combat in Tokyo. I'm Ethan Liu. Take care, and I'll see you next time.